Welcome back to the Comic Corner. I'm your host, Mikaela Hawkins, and holy lack of time management skills, Batman. It's been a hot minute since we've been here, and in that minute, so much has happened, so I am here to tell you all about it. Alright, so first up, we finally have a release date for my favorite boys! The Bad Batch will premiere on Disney Plus on, you guessed it, May the 4th. Next, we have some big updates on James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Set to premiere on August 6, 2021, this movie will serve as a soft reboot/sequel to the first Suicide Squad. According to James Gunn himself, the movie is about 99% of the way done, with only a music cue and SFX shot left. Yet, fans are still wondering, where's the trailer? Well, Gunn is quite a busy man, as he's currently finishing up post-production on The Suicide Squad, currently filming for the Suicide Squad spin-off series Peacemaker, and is in pre-production for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. However, he has promised a trailer very soon, so be sure to keep an eye out. Speaking of big DC news, the long-awaited Snyder Cut of 2017's Justice League is finally coming to HBO Max as a 4-hour movie on March 18th. And when that comes out, you better stay up until midnight for the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier! If you haven't seen any of the trailers yet, Marvel has been releasing small clips every Friday to please people like me, who have been starved for Bucky content since 2011. Tune in next time when I bring you some fresh comic book recommendations. Until then, be sure to catch up on WandaVision, which just finished its first season on March 5th. Bye!
Hey Grizzlies, it's Mrs. Wismer inviting you to join us every Thursday during Advisory for the Grizzly Writing Den. If you struggle with writing and you need some help from your peers, well, come on in every Thursday, 11:30 to noon. Please join our Google Classroom to access all resources. The code is IJHQSE6, and once you join, you'll be able to access the Google form to fill out every time you plan on visiting. And hopefully, that's every Thursday. We'll see you then. Bye!
Hey juniors, you're definitely going to want to save the date for Wednesday, March 10th during Advisory, because your Mission Hills High School counseling team will be presenting on how to prepare you for your senior year.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm making a poster.
Why?
Because I'm an ASB, that's what we do.
Huh. Hey, what are you doing?
I'm planning an event.
Why?
Because I'm an ASB, and that's what we do.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm planning prom.
Why?
Because I'm a class officer, that's what we do.
I call this meeting to order. Wait, what am I doing?
You're running an ASB business meeting.
Why?
Because you're ASB president.
Right. Join ASB. It's great.
Join ASB!
Hi CSF members! The spring 2021 application window is now closed, but if you haven't done so already, please go to our Google Classroom to access your community service hours form for this semester. Freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, you will complete your 6 hours per usual, which will be due within the first 2 weeks of school in the fall. Seniors, please keep in mind that you will need to complete 12 hours this spring to make up for your first semester freshman year, and your hours are due April 16th before you graduate. Have a great day, Grizzlies!
All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to do some yoga today. My name is Mrs. Orlowski, or Miss O. So just to kind of set it up, yoga, I know for some people it can be super intimidating. We have all these sort of stories or assumptions about what yoga is. But at its basic core, it's simply just connecting our breath with our movement. So the breath is truly the foundation. So that's what we'll be starting with. And the breath is really this beautiful, amazing, portable way that we can really help to sort of not control our state, but ultimately sort of just kind of get a little bit more of a handle on it, okay? Because we tend to, when we get really stressed out, when we get really anxious, our hearts start racing, and so what we could do is really cultivate this sort of mindful incorporation of the breath so that we can really start to kind of calm that sort of nervous system. So we'll be kind of incorporating some of that, but ultimately we'll be moving as well. So slow and steady. You don't need a mat or anything like that. It's just whatever you are. Probably don't want to be wearing jeans, but just, do you. So we'll start in just a seated position. You might even be able to just sit in a chair if you prefer. But we'll be getting into specifically some hip stuff because I know sitting all day isn't exactly great for the hips. And also a little bit more shoulders as well because that's tend to be where a lot of us hold a lot of tension. So let's start there. On your inhale, let's go ahead and inhale. Really think about bringing those shoulders up to your ears just to kind of really squeeze, just to kind of really exaggerate that feeling. And then exhale, think about bringing your shoulder blades together behind your back. So kind of bringing those together, kind of pulling your chest forward on your exhale. So with inhales, we think inhale, kind of lift up, bringing those shoulders up to your ears. And then exhale, let it go behind your back. Inhale, bring those shoulders up one more time. And then exhale, gliding them softly down the back. Okay, and then we'll just kind of bring in a little side body as well because we don't tend to open that up too much. So join me as you bring your hands up to the sky. And as we lift, try to avoid now. Now we know what it feels like to bring those shoulders up to our ears. Let's be really conscious and mindful and bring those shoulders down. I like to think pinky fingers rolled in. That helps to kind of bring the shoulders so they're not up in our ears. So shoulders relax. And then we're going to drop our right hand down to the ground. And then on our inhale, think lift, think length on the inhale. We're just going to open up that side body. Now really try to keep that left seat seated to the mat or wherever you are, just seated to the ground and just as wherever you can find some length here. Okay, some of you might start to crawl those fingers a little bit over to the right because you can find a little bit more space. But wherever you're at, breathe. So really be thinking about on your inhales, can you find a little bit more lift, a little bit more length? You might even imagine the space that you're opening up between those ribs, those intercostal muscles, to really find a little bit more openness and expansion in our breath. As we breathe oxygen into those lungs. And then stay for one more exhale. On our inhales, we'll come back up to center. Inhale, lift, reach. Exhale, we'll just take it over to the other side. Okay, so again, try to keep this side rooted to the mat. And I didn't mention this on the other side, but your neck, your gaze can just sort of be softly at the ground, maybe sort of gazing at nothing in front of you, wherever. Just keep the gaze soft, maybe even close your eyes. That might be nice. There's nothing to look at. It's all about what it feels like. So never, we're not comparing in this practice. Stay for one more exhale. And then inhale, lift up, reach the arms. And then we'll go ahead and bring them down. So this time we're going to do a little opening up of the back, upper back sort of neck area. So just kind of bring your arms out wide. This is called eagle pose. So we're going to bring our right elbow beneath our left elbow. Okay. So for some people, depending on, your physicality, depending on your body, a lot of, some people, this isn't quite so easily available. So I'm going to give some layers. So ultimately, elbow on top of elbow. Now, for some of us, this is kind of as far as we're going to go. So we're going to take like a bear hug position. Okay, so kind of think about giving yourself a nice big hug. Go ahead and just give yourself a hug. I mean, just do it. You deserve it. And then, or if you can maybe have a little bit more space, you might start to bring your backs of your hands together, or full pose is bringing your palms together. So I'm going to turn to the side so we can see. So ultimately, again, what we're trying to do, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's what it feels like. So what we're going for is this opening across the back. So don't think like, well, I can do this, but I don't like it. It feels better to then do that. Do what feels good. Listen to your body. So on your inhale, what you're going to do is kind of bring your elbows forward and then start to kind of let your hands go forward. Or if you have the bear hug, what we're going to do is just sort of kind of round that upper back a little bit. So hopefully you're feeling a nice expansion, a little openness. I know this is a tight spot for me sitting at the computer all day. And a little openness in this neck, kind of the trapezius here area. And think about just breathing space into those tight places, and maybe like, what? You don't have lungs in there. Well, just imagine. It's kind of that visualization. Stay for another round of inhales and exhales. And then we'll slowly just kind of release what you got, whatever level you were taking. And then just kind of open up your chest just because it feels good. And then we'll just take that on the other side. So right elbow was on the bottom last time, so this time it's going to go on the top. Okay? So right elbow on top of left elbow. Okay? You might do bear hug. Who knows? Maybe this side isn't, you have a little bit more space in this side. Maybe backs or palms connected. Okay, I'm going to kind of just go this position this time so we can see. So elbows out, and then start to kind of just let your upper back, shoulders, neck just kind of round a little. Starting to bring your chin to your chest. And then you just let gravity do the work. So yoga is not about forcing your body into a position. It's not about cranking. It's about allowing. Just let gravity do the work. It's not about what it looks like. It's about what it feels like. Stay for one more round of breath. We'll go ahead and just kind of open that back up. Nice stretch across the chest. And then from there, if you were seated cross-legged, or however you were seated, doesn't matter, you don't have, however was comfortable, you might want to kind of change the crossing just to kind of, mix it up. And then we're going to just kind of let our upper body just start to drape over our legs. Okay, so your legs might be just sort of out in front of you, maybe you're bent, whatever. But ultimately what we're looking for is sort of a little lower back, mid back kind of stretch. So as you start to lean forward, what we want to avoid is just like this real rounding where we're putting a ton of pressure on our lower back. So try to keep your upper body as flat as you can until you just start to feel sensation. Okay, and you're starting to feel a little bit of sensation in your lower back, maybe starting a little bit more in your hips as well. Just let your head drop. Nothing to look at, nothing to see. So just let your head drop. And just again, breathe, 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 breathe. With every inhale, think fractions of a millimeter more length. Maybe. It's imperceptible to the human eye. But every exhale, get a little more settled, a little bit more present, a little bit more here in this moment. Take this time. And then when you're ready, just start to make our way back up to seated. And then we're just going to gently make ourselves into hands and knees position. And we'll start to open up the spine a little bit. So in this hands and knees position, we have shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and then your toes can be tucked or they can be untucked. It's just kind of preference. Sometimes I'll keep them tucked because I feel like it engages my knee a little bit better when I feel like it's a little sore, but it's completely preference. Now, as far as your neck goes, what we want to think about is our neck is part of our spine. So we don't want to be cranking it up. We don't necessarily want to be just like cranking it down. Just kind of think like a foot in front of your hands. You're just sort of gazing a little bit a foot in front of your hands. And we're going to start with a little shoulder opening. So take your left hand and just put it directly in front of your gaze, under your eyes. And then we're going to take our right arm and we're just going to open it up. You might even feel some snap, crackle, and pops like I just did. So as you open it up, think about finding that stretch across the collarbone, across that skin in your chest. Think about widening those wings. And then we're going to do a couple shoulder dips in which we dive in. But we're going to do the first two. We'll just sort of be moving. And then on the third one, we'll pause. So inhale, find length. Exhale, dive in. Inhale, find that opening and really take your time. There's no rush. Exhale, dive. And so what yoga is really trying to do is kind of even the transitions matter. We focus, we're mindful in the transitions. Take a deep inhale. And then finally, this one, we'll pause. We'll stay here for 3 full breaths. So think about letting your right shoulder, your right outer shoulder go, letting your right temple, your right ear just sort of relax onto the mat. And then again, let gravity do the work. Just let your body just sort of feel heavy, shoulders kind of opening up this outer shoulder. Your left hand, maybe you're just kind of having it like tented next to your face. Some people, if it's available, they might wrap it around your back. We'll stay for 3 inhales and exhales. Your breath, your movement. All right. I'm done, so I'm going to inhale, I'm going to reach, and then exhale. We'll just replace that left hand with our right hand, and then this time, inhale, open up, and then we dive. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. One more time. This time we hold. Inhale. Another pop. And then exhale. This time just let the left shoulder go. Let the left side of the head. Relax on the mat. Hands might just be here. Are you still breathing? Are you focusing on that breath? It's not yoga if we're not breathing. That's all you could do. You could lie here on your mat and just breathe. And that would be yoga. Isn't that fun? Stay for another round. And then we'll go ahead and come up. Inhale, reach. And then exhale. We'll come back up into that tabletop position. So we're going to get a little stretch in our hip flexor, our psoas muscle. So we're going to take our right foot into a little lunge. So really make sure that your knee does not go over your ankle. You want this nice 90-degree angle. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to let our hands just kind of rest on the mat. Now, if it's not accessible to you to put your hands on the mat, you don't have long monkey arms like I do, you might think about just grabbing some, like a prop, a book. That's totally fine. Let's bring the floor a little bit closer to you. Okay, that's what props are for. To meet, so the pose meets our body. So here, again, making sure we have that nice 90-degree angle. And then what we're looking for is this stretch on the left side, the front of the hip, okay, which tends to get really tight when we sit a lot, when we're driving a lot. And so in this pose, just let gravity do the work. Now, as you can see, I'm a little bit more further. Some of us may just kind of be here, okay? Totally fine, all right? But wherever you're at, let your head just dangle. No reason to keep that head afloat. Just let it dangle. Think about maybe breathing a little space into that spot in front of your left hip. Stay for another round. And then from here, we're going to tuck our back toes if they're not tucked already. And then we're just going to slowly shift our hips back, and we're going to start to straighten just a little bit, just getting a nice little hamstring stretch. Okay, really flex the toes, because when we flex the toes, it helps to engage this knee joint, and we also want to keep a nice little micro bend. Some of us have the tendency to hyperextend. You're going to hurt yourself over time. Okay, and we want this to be sort of something we can do when we're 80 years old. Okay, so we don't want to do anything that could potentially prevent that. Okay, so a nice little micro bend, flexion of the knee, and then again, just let your upper body just sort of drape. This time we're thinking about finding that stretch behind the leg, in the back of the leg, these hamstring here. All right, we'll come back up into that lunge, and then we'll just switch legs. Nothing fancy, so we'll take it on the left-hand side. You can tuck your toes or not. This time again, just let gravity do the work. Let your head hang. And then just like before, we can tuck that back foot and then slowly start to shift those hips back. Again, engaging those toes and making sure that they're flexed, nice little micro bend, and then just let your head, your upper body just sort of drape. Try to, again, just like earlier, try to avoid that roundness so that we're just feeling the sensation here in the backs of our legs. All right, and we'll come back into that tabletop position. I'm sorry, not the tabletop. We'll come back into seated. So we'll just be wrapping it up now. So we'll just end with a nice little simple twist. So inhale, find length on both sides of those bodies. And then exhale, go to the right, maybe taking your left hand, placing it on that left knee. Taking a nice deep inhale, maybe finding a little bit of space. Maybe you can start to look over that right shoulder. And then exhale, just settle in. And then we just move back. So inhale. I realize I said side bodies as if we have more than one. We have two different sets. So I know we have one body. All right, inhale. And then exhale. What is she talking about? Just looking for a little bit of sort of expansion again in the chest. Gaze just soft, but the most important part is the breath. Inhale and exhale. All right, and we'll come back up to center. Inhale one more time, find length. And then exhale, go ahead and just bring your hands down. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found a little bit of space in your body so you can have a little bit of space in your thoughts so we can be more responsive and less reactive. If you enjoyed this today, take yoga class with Miss A. I highly, highly recommend it.
No!
No, yeah, you mean the Bigfoot pose.